He killed my wife.
What's up, you little goblins? Den BMX here, and today we're gonna be playing authentic because around this time 10 years ago, I got my very first Gibson Les Paul. This is Blair, my 2014 Gibson Les Paul Studio, and she just turned 10 years old right around this time. I feel old. I hope I can get the lighting to where you can kind of see the blue popping a little bit. This like satin nitro finish really likes glare, so I don't know if you're gonna really be able to see the like blue or the flame in this lighting. Let me go see. Yeah, you can't really see it. I think right here was like the best angle. You can't really tell that it's a Manhattan midnight colored Les Paul. Now I've already told you guys the backstory of this guitar, but I think it's appropriate to tell you guys it again in today's video. Before I got this guitar, back when I was a little goober, just getting into playing guitar in general, the pointy shaped guitars really caught my attention very early on. That's why my first like real electric guitar was a BC Rich Kerry King V. It was probably as tall as I was, and it was not a good guitar. But you see, I also wanted to be Kirk Hammett, so I got a cheap little Jackson Dinky, and I tried to turn one of those into his mummy guitar. But I also wanted to be Eddie Van Halen, so I got two Project Kit guitars, and I custom painted them like the Frankenstrat. But none of those guitars really played that well. And I had other guitars too. I also had another Jackson Dinky that was supposed to be like Kirk Hammett's Ouija. That was probably the main guitar I played. And I also had an Epiphone Zakk Wylde Bullseye, which I loved the look of, but the neck on it was about the size of Corey Taylor's neck. And my grubby little hands couldn't really play that guitar that well. But one day, I looked at all my guitars and I said, wow, I have everyone else's signature guitar, but I don't have a guitar that's like my guitar. You know, you picking up what I'm putting down? And this was around the time I started to become obsessed with the Gibson Les Paul. So what I decided to do was I sold both of those Frankenstrats. I sold the Kerry King V, and I sold the Jackson that I tried to turn into the mummy guitar. And I used that money to get my first real guitar, which was a brand spanking new 2014 Gibson Les Paul Studio. And I paid less for this guitar than what some people are paying for Epiphones these days. But I thought it was appropriate to talk about my studio today because this time period of like late February, 10 years ago, was when I first got this guitar. But also, Gibson just came out with those brand new versions of the Studio that are somehow $2,000. Man, that's crazy that the new Les Paul Studios literally have like one coat of paint sprayed on the back of them, and they're $500 less than what I paid for my Les Paul Standard. Yeah, that inflation's really hitting the guitar market hard, isn't it? I don't know if a lot of the guys that watch my guitar videos are also into ballad song stuff, but to make a comparison, my Gibson Les Paul Studio was kind of like my beater guitar for these last 10 years. Because only a few weeks after I got this guitar, I got Veronica, which was the last thing my grandma ever gave me before she died, so I kind of babied that guitar. And this is the one guitar that I really, like, spent a lot of my time playing. If you couldn't tell by how this guitar kind of looks like my old catcher's mitt.
Worn and used.
So I really love how, especially on the back, it's really starting to age and you're really starting to see the wood underneath. I want the back of this guitar to one day look like the back of one of Slash's Les Pauls. I'm gonna squirt when it gets to that point. But before we talk about the specs on this guitar, I just want to take a second to thank you guys for all the recent love and support you've shown me on all my videos. It truly does mean a lot. As always, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you let me know, help the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions, share the video around. And if you regularly watch this channel and you didn't help us recently reach 18,000 subscribers, then you're almost as annoying as my neighbor's loud-ass dogs. We are on the road to 20,000 subs, and any help towards that endeavor is greatly appreciated, but I am done being a tool. Let's talk about the specs on my Les Paul Studio. So for those of you that don't know, a Les Paul Studio is kind of like a real bare bones version of a Les Paul. One of the quirks of the Les Paul Studio is that it does not have the traditional Les Paul standard thickness. It is just a little bit thinner, which I kind of like. I believe this guitar came chambered, which I know is a war crime to those of you who think weight equals resonance. It does come with a full thickness flamed maple cap. It really has to hit the light in the right way for you to see the flame top on this guitar, but I think a lot of that has to do with the paint job because it's a really dark blue with black bursting, because when it hits the light right, it does have a pretty flamed top. But yeah, it comes with a mahogany body, a full thickness maple cap. It has a rosewood fingerboard. This was right before CITES shit itself thinking rosewood was about to go extinct. And normally a Les Paul would have a mahogany neck along with a mahogany body, but this one actually comes with a maple neck. And I didn't realize that until like 2 years ago, I think, when I made a video about this guitar. I like actually looked up the specs. I don't know how I never connected 2 and 2 together and realized that this wear is lighter than this wear, but I figured it out eventually. This guitar comes with a Nashville style bridge, I believe, which I don't think it makes that much of a difference. And then it's got the 490R and 490T pickups on there, which are pretty aggressive sounding pickups. It comes with coil taps or coil splits or whatever, I don't know. And then it's got some pretty mid, just like regular Gibson Cluson style tuners. They have the Keystone tone button shape, which is the proper shape for a Les Paul. None of this kidney button bullshit. While they do look nice, I do wish that they, you know, worked a little bit better. You know what the G string on this guitar stands for? It stands for Gibson tuning problems. Some other quirks of this guitar is this guitar was released in 2014, which was the 120th anniversary of Gibson. So all the models that were released in 2014 have this like Gibson 120th anniversary inlay on the 12th fret. And then also I think the other quirky feature is that this comes with cryogenically treated frets. It's like a tier below the durability of stainless steel, but these still are probably gonna last quite a long time. After 10 years, I don't see any indents or anything. And then one more thing that I have done to this guitar rather recently is I gave it that natural binding look. It's a pretty popular mod for Les Paul Studios, because since the paint on these studios isn't very thick, you can still see through it. So you can see where the maple cap is, and you just kind of take the paint off there. Just like my Les Paul Studio, thanks to that good old Play Authentic QC, one of the inlays on this guitar popped out once. I just super glued it back in, which isn't the end of the world. It's not a crazy difficult task to fix, but still, for like the price you pay for Gibsons, it's kind of crazy how often that happens. And then my toggle switch has never really worked that well. Like when you start in the neck and you go to the middle position, it pops into the middle position and then it goes into the bridge position. But when you try to go from the bridge position to the middle position, a lot of the times it just skips it and goes straight to the neck. But like if I barely touch it, it just goes to the neck. Yeah, that's a little annoying. And the one thing that this guitar kind of really needs is a new nut. When I fret the notes, it's fine, but when I just hit the open E, it does buzz a little bit. And I can't really put any more slack in this neck because it's kind of maxed out. But for now, I think we've yapped plenty about this guitar and its specs and its history and all that. Let's actually go play it. Okie dokie. In about every single one of my guitar videos that I've ever made that involves a Les Paul, so most of them, without failure, at some point, some ancient creature, some 1,000-year-old fossil, always ends up leaving a comment being violently upset that I didn't use any, like, real Les Paul tones, and that I used too much distortion. Even though I don't, in every single one of my videos, I at least have like a little part where I do a clean tone, then a dirty tone, then I get into the high gain stuff that I actually like to play. But someone's grandpa, without failure, always gets mad at me, and I don't want some kids to lose their grandpa because he had an aneurysm watching one of my videos. I just lost my grandpa. It sucks a lot, so I don't want to bring that on anybody. So to please the olds, we'll do a little bit more clean stuff, and then a little bit more like dirty, edge of breakup, like crunch kind of tones. Then I'll get into the high gain stuff, okay? Okay. We are recording. Yeah, I don't want to switch plugins. It takes 2 seconds, but I don't feel like doing it. So this is like the cleanest clean tone you're gonna get. It's pretty clean, but it has some chorus on it because I'm a whore for shoegaze. Okay, so here's the big plot twist. We're gonna go to D standard, because I think that's my new favorite 6-string tuning. Let's just, boop, boop, and now we're in D standard. Technology, isn't that crazy? Put a little stank on it, but not too much. We're gonna stay in D standard though, because I like it. Let's add a little more, shall we? Oh, forgot to put it in D standard. That's the theme of this video is D. Moving on, let's do the brown sound. We gotta go to D. Knocked her out of tune a little bit there, I think. Okay, let's get stinky. Tuning check. There's a Les Paul, you always gotta check your tuning. If the G string's out of tune, you better leave a like. If the D string's out of tune, you gotta subscribe. That counts as out of tune. Alright, my little goblins, I think that's going to wrap up the playing demo for this video. I don't want to do the outro right now. I'm going to film it tomorrow when I film the beginning of this video. Okay, I'll see you then. Overall, I am very happy that I ended up buying this guitar. Despite all the unnecessary flaws that seem to come with a Gibson guitar, I still really, really love this guitar because this guitar, along with Veronica, my EC1000, were kind of like my first real guitars. Like this Studio and my EC1000 that my grandma gave me were just kind of like blank slate guitars that I could make my own. And I don't see a whole lot of people playing or even having Manhattan Midnight Les Paul Studios. So I really look at this guitar as like my first guitar. I think I've played this guitar more than any of the other guitars that I own, besides maybe Veronica. I'll sell my Les Paul Standard before I sell this guitar. I'm not letting go of Veronica no matter what, so this would probably be the last guitar that I'd be willing to sell if I absolutely needed to. But this one would be the one that hurts. But I think that's enough yapping in today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. Once again, I really hope you enjoyed. And again, if you did, definitely let me know. Help the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leave a comment, share the video around. Make sure you're subscribed. We're on the road to 20,000 subs. Last but not least, I want to give a gigantic shout out and a thank you to Cosmic Steez, A Horse Running, Jet, Solar Flare, Jan Chocolate, and Bandage Knives. Those are the current channel members, and their support really does mean a lot. If you want to join these guys, get a shout out in my longer videos, get access to occasional members only video, get access to my members only videos, a lot of which are guitar videos, and just help support the channel in a bigger way, then you can go down there, click the join button. Tiers start as low as $3. And if you don't want to join a membership, but you still want to contribute to the channel in that way, there's the super thanks button down there, which is kind of like a little tip jar. But I am done being a tool. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.